when political leader says this.
And actually work together with that science. That science is going to be key, because if we ignore that science and sort of put our head in the sand and think it's all about vegetation management, we're not going to succeed together protecting Californians.
Okay, it'll start getting cooler. You just watch.
A renewed call for action tonight from climate experts after an alarming finding.
Scientists in New England who track global temperatures say that the Earth has been hotter these past 3 days than at any other time since record keeping began.
Back here in the U.S. tonight, into the other major news this Tuesday night, the life-threatening heat. More than 150 million Americans on alert from Texas to New York all the way up to Maine. Tonight, records have been broken across the East. 101 in Philadelphia, 102 in Boston, New York City reaching 99. The hottest temperatures in more than a decade. And factor in the humidity. You don't need me to tell you it feels well above 100.
Fires are raging across Southern California, with several still uncontained. In Riverside County, the wildfire has burned over 1,100 acres. The Mandalay,
with flames burning 198,000 hectares of land so far. That's almost 3 times the area that historically burns for an entire year, but in just 1 month.
It's official. We've now entered our second heat wave of the year.
We begin with breaking news. A fast-moving brush fire is triggering evacuations in the San Bernardino Mountains.
Yeah, and that situation is still evolving at this hour. The lake fire ignited just before 4 this afternoon near Silverwood Lake, but then quickly jumped Highway 138. It has since grown to nearly 500 acres, and there is heavy smoke in that area, and structures are being threatened as that fire continues to push north.
Evacuation orders are in place, with the fire potentially growing to 1,000 acres.
As you see, climate change isn't coming, it's already here, and it's showing up in ways we can no longer ignore. We have record-breaking wildfires, floods swallowing streets, stronger, more frequent hurricanes and cyclones, droughts destroying crops and drying up lakes, and the quiet killer, the disappearance of bees, who pollinate 75% of the food we eat. And all of this is connected to one thing: rising global temperatures driven by the way we burn, build, and ignore science.
2023 has been a record-breaking year for extreme weather events, from flash floods to recurring heat waves. Here's a roundup of major forest fires witnessed in the year 2023 from North America to Mediterranean region. Take a look.
2023. The year of extreme weather events is nearing its end. It has been a catastrophic year on the climate spectrum. Forest fires, a calamity without borders, grip the entire world from north to south, leaving charred imprints behind.
Scientists are predicting that in the next 40 years, we will see flooding much more extreme than even what San Jose experienced 5 years ago, when parts of the city ended up under feet of water and thousands were forced to evacuate.
Warmer than average ocean temperatures are just one of the factors weather experts say could trigger this year's Atlantic hurricane season to be above average. Fox News correspondent Shanley Painter takes a closer look at what millions can soon expect and why officials say there's no time to waste when it comes to preparing.
The Hurricane Center is fully staffed up and we're ready to go.
The 2025 Atlantic hurricane season begins June 1st, and the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration says communities in storm-prone areas should start preparing now for what's expected to be an above-average season.
Specifically, there's a 60% chance of above normal season.
Forecasters are calling for 13 to 19 named storms, of which wind speeds reach 39 miles per hour or higher.
While much of New South Wales was being pelted by floods, farmers across large parts of Australia have been praying for rain. The drought is so bad, they need help to keep their animals fed. There is a solution, so why isn't it happening?
Oh, look, it's the Australian image to some extent, isn't it? But you don't expect to see it in southwest Victoria.
We're on Mark Billings' farm. This is the first time this dam has run dry.
I'm fourth generation here, so we've been here nearly 100 years. Dad's always talked about the 67, 68 drought, and this is far worse than that.
Over the last few decades, you've probably heard calls to save the bees, and maybe even resisted the urge to swat one for the good of the environment. But with more than 20,000 species of bees, which ones actually need saving? As of 2024, only about 24 bee species are formally listed as endangered. However, bees and other invertebrates are notoriously understudied, and insect populations around the world have been in decline. Some scientists estimate that as many as 1 in 4 bee species are at risk of extinction. A lot of attention goes to the domesticated honeybees that supply humans with a tangible product, honey. But while some honeybee societies are plagued by colony collapse disorder, which kills hives of otherwise healthy honeybees, they aren't likely to go extinct anytime soon. It's actually wild bees, such as bumblebees and yellow-faced bees, that face the greatest risk. Insecticides, herbicides, habitat loss, invasive species, and climate change can all contribute to population declines. Yellow-faced bees, for example, were once abundant in Hawaii. Now their livelihood is threatened by invasive ants that overrun the bees' habitat and compete for resources. And when native bees disappear, the entire ecosystem is affected. Birds and other predators lose their prey, and plants that rely on wild bees for pollination struggle to reproduce. Without pollinators like bees, our human food system would be disrupted. Designating species as endangered is a crucial first step in protecting their habitats and, hopefully, bringing a few buzzing bugs back from the brink of extinction.
Science is not a political party. It doesn't care if you're left or right. It only speaks in data. And it's been warning us for decades, but governments ignored it because truth doesn't win elections like fear and denial does. So while leaders downplayed the data, the world kept heating up and we lost time. Time we could have used to prepare, protect, and build something better.
Canada's Prime Minister was facing some tough questions today. The Maternal Health Summit wrapped up in Toronto. Stephen Harper has received widespread praise for his commitment to helping women and children in the developing world. But he took some by surprise when he said he can't understand why some parents don't get their children vaccinated. He said they should listen to the scientists, something his critics wish he'd do himself more often. Shirley Engel has our report.
The Prime Minister admits he gets emotional about the refusal of some Canadian parents to vaccinate their kids.
We do have scientists and medical professionals who do great work and verify this. And I just think it's a tragedy when people start to go off on their own theories and not listen to the scientific evidence.
While the science community applauds Stephen Harper for that parental advice, some are frustrated by what they consider hypocrisy.
I think it's just another example of the government sort of picking and choosing what evidence they want to use based on, whether or not it's in line with their ideology.
No science, no evidence. For years, protests against what many believe is the muzzling of government scientists in this country on hot-button issues such as climate change, mandatory minimum sentencing, and safe injection sites for drug users.
This government has cut $1 billion from scientific research and fired over 4,000 scientists since they came into power in 2011.
Former Green Party candidate Chris Turner wrote a book called The War on Science.
It's really not about distrusting science in and of itself. It's about message control.
It is the IPCC Special Report on Global Warming of 1.5 degrees Celsius, the SR 1.5, which was released on October 8th, 2018. I am submitting this report as my testimony because I don't want you to listen to me. I want you to listen to the scientists. and I want you to unite behind the science. And then I want you to take real action. Thank you.
Could you expand on why it's so important to listen to the science?
The world's top climate change denier may be U.S. President Donald Trump, but around the globe, populists, including the new president of Brazil, are attacking what they call the myth of global warming and forcing environmentalists to defend accepted scientific wisdom. Germany is no exception. Here, the far-right populist AfD party argues that humans aren't changing the climate.
The most important thing is education and people's common sense. Despite relatively constant CO2 levels in the past 10 years, there have been huge variations in climate. There's no cause and effect between CO2 and temperatures.
The AfD wants to reverse Germany's ambitious Renewable Energy Sources Act, cancel the country's planned phase-out of coal power, and take it out of the 2015 Paris Agreement on climate. That makes the co-leader of Germany's Green Party see red.
The AfD is not only a far-right and sometimes extremist party that isn't always committed to our constitution, but it also doesn't stand for freedom of research. It doesn't acknowledge that on the environment, and in particular climate change, we have evidence accepted by all scientists the world over. Instead, it questions science itself.
Science. But there are a number of us, I've said for a long time, I was a Republican, in elected office for roughly a 25-year span, that I did believe in science, that I did believe in climate change. It was real. The coastal district that I represent along the coast of South Carolina, I saw it with my own eyes. And I said, there's something unfathomable to me that some in the Republican Party would say, I believe in the miracles of modern science in healing my body, notwithstanding the vaccination debate, but I don't believe it as it relates to Mother Earth. So I think it's a bit simplistic to say, quote, the Republican Party does not believe in science. I would say there are absolute elements that don't. And shame on those of us who haven't pushed harder and louder against those elements, because I don't think they represent a broad swath of the people that I represented, whether along the coast of South Carolina or in the state as a whole.
In 1978, satellites began continuously observing the polar regions, and the dynamic beauty of the Arctic sea ice was revealed. What we expect to be a solid mass of ice is actually in constant motion. As researchers continue to seek a deeper understanding of this region, new information about how sea ice changes is coming to light.
In this animation, we're taking Arctic sea ice into the third dimension. Here, we're looking at the ice age, which is an indicator of thickness. Generally, older ice is thicker ice.
Well, I don't think science knows, actually.
So as I'm editing this video, I noticed, that my focus was getting really into just like politicians and our political leaders not listening to science, and it almost like felt blamey, where that's not my way, and I'm sure you can tell that I am using an AI to like help me create a video, but this is something that I feel very like true to my core, so instead of like going towards the blame game, what I want to say something directly to political leaders. This isn't about a blame, this is about growth. We don't expect you to know everything, but we do expect you to keep learning. You travel the world, you shake hands in clean cities, you sit in parliaments powered by renewable energy. Don't just sit there. Observe and learn. Ask, why does this river sparkle here? Why does this city run on green power? Why are these people thriving while others suffer? The best leaders in history were also the best students. You don't have to guess what works. The solution already exists in science, in nature, in other nations. And now with AI, you can see trends before they happen. You can map climate risks. You can design smarter policies. AI is a tool, science is a compass, but only wisdom can steer the ship. So what I think politicians should do, they should lead with curiosity, lead with courage, and don't be afraid to say, I didn't know, but now I do. Because that's the moment you go from politician to visionary. So be a visionary.